Hello, aspirants. Welcome back to Believers as Academy. And in this today's playlist of the prelims high-yielding topics, especially related to polity Lakshmikant, today we'll be discussing about federalism, another important chapter from the political system section of the Indian polity Lakshmikant. So we have about 8 to 9 questions, very important from this chapter. So let's discuss without any further ado. And the first question: how do federal and unitary systems of government differ in their core features? So you will have to definitely know about all those important characteristic unique features under the two systems, especially the unitary and the federal system. So first we will briefly discuss about all the the federal system or the features of the federal system. So the first one is the dual government. Means there exists a dual government at the both, like one at the national level, which is the central government, and also at the state level, which is also the state government. And this is pretty much in opposite, or let's say in contrary to what we see in the unitary system of government, where there is only one government, which is the single government at the center level or at the national level. And if there is any regional centers or if there is any state, the power will be drawn from the center directly. So they will not have their own individual power or authority. Rather, the power will be drawn, or the authority for them will be extracted from the center, and that is what we see in a unitary form of government, as opposed to federal, where there are dual governments, one at the central level, which is usually the central government, and also at the regional level, which is also called as the state governments. Next is the division of powers, constitutionally guaranteed. So one of the important feature of these federal system of government is that the division of powers between the center and states will be guaranteed in the constitution itself. Means it will be clearly, explicitly mentioned in the constitution itself. And the third is the kind of system, the political system, or those kind of democracies will either have a written constitution, and also mostly that constitution will be rigid in nature. Okay, the best example is USA, which has one of the most rigidest constitution in the entire world. Next is the independent judiciary to resolve disputes. So basically, even India follows an integrated judiciary where Supreme Court is at the top, and under that we have the high courts and all the subordinate courts, which independently decides or adjudicates on the matters for the entire nation. So there is no separated judiciary, pretty much like the USA, where for all the central issues, or let's say anything related to the federal systems, or let's say the laws related to the federal, it has completely been adjudicated by the federal courts, and then we have the system of courts for at the state level, right? So that is not what we see in India, because India, ultimately the fundamental question, what is India? India is following the federal system, and this federal system is not of the USA's connotation. It's not the USA's model of federalism, but rather the Canadian model. Very important to keep in mind. However, we are not a proper federal country, nor are we a proper unitary. Basically, we are federal with a unitary bias. Okay, or also we can classify India as a quasi-federal nation, quasi-federal country, as famously mentioned by Casey Weir. So even this is also very important to know what different political thinkers have said about India's political system. Okay. Next is the bicameral legislature. Usually, so this is one of the predominant feature of the federal system, that they have a bicameral legislature, like we have Lok Sabha and also the Rajya Sabha. Next is the constitution is supreme. So this is one of the important feature in the federal system. The constitution is considered to be the supreme, right? And constitution is the supreme law of the country as well. Next, coming to the unitary feature, first we have already discussed. It is either having a centralizing tendency, or it has a very single government with the centralized authority, and parliament is supreme here, right? So best example here you can think of is Britain, for that matter, right? So parliament is absolutely supreme, And constitution may be flexible, so it doesn't mean the constitution is rigid, right? So constitution is rigid is one of the important feature of your federal system of governments. But in the unitary system, the constitution may be flexible because parliament is supreme, right? It is self-explanatory. So now parliament is supreme. Parliament wants to change anything and everything according to their whims and fancies. So obviously the constitution has to be flexible, right? Next point, states function as administrative units. That's why I said, so if there are states or any regional centers, so they function as administrative units rather than having their own autonomy. They function as a subordinate, or let's say they function or they draw authority from the center, which is the main centralizing unit. So federalism promotes regional autonomy. However, unitary systems ensure uniformity. Next question, which were the earliest federations in the world and why are they significant? So one of the earliest federation, best example is United States. It was 1987 when it was constituted, and the oldest functioning federalism so far is also the United States. And what is the significance? Provided the classical model of coming together federation, right? Because federation happens in two different models. One is when multiple nations, or say multiple fragmented units, they decide to come together and form a nation, right? So this is one way, and this is the biggest example of how USA was formed. Other way of classification of a federation or federation is when one particular huge chunk of nation, it is divided into fragments and becomes a federation. Like even then it kind of comes together, right? So however, the classical case with USA is the first one, where coming together of federation, where all these small units, they joined, based on a declaration, based on an agreement, right? They joined together and came across or called themselves a federation, right? And influenced many later constitutions, including India as well. Next is, why does the constitution use the expression Union of India instead of Federation of States? Very important. And who explained that very much beautifully is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He gave two important reasons. He said India's federation is not the result of an agreement among states like the USA. Rather, India's states, they cannot secede. And also it is not an amalgamation, or it is not the congruence, or let's say it's not the joining hands, or let's say it's not the joining of all these states based on an agreement, right? So the union is indestructible, though the states can be reorganized. He said the union of India is indestructible. So you cannot destruct India and make it into bits and pieces, but rather the states can be reorganized. So within the union, all the states are destructible, right? But the union, India, is indestructible. So India is having the union, or let's say if we have to put it in one simple sentence, so the union is indestructible, having, or let's say, which has destructible states. And the same vice versa is applicable with the USA. So this, the term emphasizes strong unity with flexibility. India's federal system resembles which model more, USA or Canada? We have already discussed. So India resembles Canada more than United States because of the strong center, residuary powers with center, and then power to reorganize states, and appointment of governors by the center. So these are the important features which India had to lean upon. So hence they adopted the Canadian model, making sure that these features are being directly adopted from them. So however, India blends features of both, so hence called quasi-federal. So it has both the features as well, both the features of the centralizing, or let's say the unitary features, and also the federal features as well. Next is fifth question, what are the key federal features of the Indian Constitution? So this is with respect to Indian Constitution, keep in mind. So the first is dual polity, we discussed, we have a union and also we have state. Next, division of powers, through various lists, we have union list, state list, concurrent list, also we have reserve list and all of that. Then we have a written constitution, then that constitution which is written is also the supreme thing in a country, in our country especially. And we also have a rigid amendment for federal provisions, making sure that especially all the federal provisions will and definitely must be taken, or decisions must be taken only by considering the states, right? It needs states ratification, which is very important. So that is also, because see, I think we have discussed this before, special majority, all the amendments that happens to special majority, there are two types of majority. One is just through getting the 2/3 majority of the members present and voting, plus the total membership of the House who are saying yes to that particular provision. Another one, only let's say this is when it is trying to amend any federal provisions where half of the state ratification is also included, right? So that proves that Indian federalism is also not completely unitary, but also has some inclination towards the states as well, right? Next is independent judiciary. We discussed it. Next is the bicameralism. We have Rajya Sabha, which represents the states, and we have Lok Sabha, which represents the people. So these ensure constitutional balance between levels of government. Sixth question: what are the major unitary features of the Indian Constitution? So we have both the features of unitary and also the federal provision. So first we discussed the federal, and now it is the unitary features. So the unitary features first is the strong center with overriding powers. Next we have the single constitution. Because see, strong center with overriding powers, we are talking about that scenario, especially when emergency is in place, right? So the parliament becomes fully entitled to make laws from the entire state, and also, the center becomes absolutely powerful, right? Super powerful, right? So that is one of the important points. Next is we have a single constitution, right? Unlike many other nations where there are separate constitutions. Like even in India's case, there was an exception, Jammu and Kashmir, but now it is not there. So we have single constitution and also single citizenship. So in USA, there are two different citizenship, federal citizenship and also state citizenship. But here in India, we just have only one citizenship. And we have integrated judiciary. There is all India services like your IAS, IPS, and IFOS. Then we have appointment of governors by the center. Then we have parliament, which can alter state boundaries also, right? And also emergency provisions, centralized power. So basically, all that is the things which we see in the Indian Constitution is the part of the unitary feature. So these allow flexibility during crisis. And the major point of discussion here is that these are the things, or these are the things which help the nation to handle a crisis in a country, especially, simple example is during emergencies. Okay. Next is, in what ways has the constitution deliberately made the center very powerful? So there are few important answers, like important points. One is the legislative dominance, right? In what ways, see there to the question, it's very important. In what ways has the constitution deliberately made the center very powerful, right? Which are the areas where constitution has deliberately made center a unitary, or let's say center, it has devolved the center with unitary powers is what it is asking. One is the legislative dominance, where union list, the number of items which are present in the union list is larger as compared to state list, and also all the important subjects, like for example, anything related to defense, national security, right, nuclear power plants and all of those things, railways. So it is all under the union list. Then we have the residuary list, which ultimately lies with the center to make laws. Next, in terms of financial control, the center is one that controls major taxes and also one who gives grants to the states. Next, the administrative control, directions to state under Article 256 to 257, very important. Next is emergency powers, where center assumes state function. As we discussed, the parliament becomes fully powerful to enact laws even for the states as well, or for the entire country. Next, state reorganization, where parliament can redraw the boundaries however they want it. And of course, prior president approval is required. And also, this is done through simple majority. That is also very important thing to keep in mind. Next is governor mechanism, acts as a link between center and state. So governor has been appointed by the president himself. Basically, he's an agent of the center or the government, right? So that's what it is. So this design was chosen to maintain unity in a diverse country. Next question: what is meant by quasi-federal nature of India? So who said India is a quasi-federal country? It was famously said by K.C. Ware, who described India as a quasi-federal or federal with strong centralizing tendency, right? So in why did he call it? Because India combines federal structure with unitary tilt, where the federal it becomes federal during normal times. It is pretty much like a federal country during normal times, but during emergencies it automatically becomes unitary in nature. Next question: what did the Supreme Court rule in S.R. Bommai 1994 case, and why is it important for federalism? So there are four important points. First is federalism is part of the basic structure, which was ruled in SR Bomai case. Very, very important. Next is President's rule under Article 356 is judicially reviewable. Very important. Majority must be tested on the floor of the House, not by governor's subjective report. This is also very important. And next, arbitrary dismissal of the state governments is constitutional. And what were the impacts of this? It strengthened the state autonomy, it curbed misuse of Article 356, and also it reinforced cooperative federalism as well. So anyway, this is all which is important from this chapter of federalism. I hope you have liked the video. Signing off, this is Madan Gopal. We'll come back with another video. So stay tuned. Do subscribe for the YouTube channel and hit that like button. Thank you so much. Have a good day.